On today's show, we got a lot to get into. We'll break down the Warriors' Christmas Day domination against the Dallas Mavericks. Also, though, a report coming out that the Golden State Warriors are interested in a Brookyln Nets player that honestly would fix a lot of issues and tremendously raise the ceiling of this team. We'll tell you who that is coming up on today's show.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
How we feeling, everyone? Welcome to the Locked On Warriors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, the number one sports podcast network out there. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On NBA. Use that code, you'll get $20 off your first purchase. My name's Charlie Walter, host of the show. We come at you on YouTube, wherever you get your audio podcast. Make sure if you are a YouTube watcher, you become an audio podcast listener. On the itinerary today, we're talking about the win over the Dallas Mavericks, a game where Al Horford got things started off with 4 big first-half threes, early first-half threes. The Warriors scored a ton of points and really cruised to a victory in a game that got close for a minute here and there, but the Warriors were always able to step on the gas and power past an Anthony Davis-less Dallas Mavericks. Davis left the game with a groin injury, minor. He'll be out for just a minute. But we'll touch up on Al Horford being back, the Warriors centers as a whole. We'll get into the spreading the wealth mentality and Steve Kerr talking about how a rotation is set, although I don't know how it really feels that way. And then the big one, Michael Porter Jr. being tied to the Golden State Warriors per the reports. How many times have we said per the reports and it turns into nothing? But when there's smoke, there can sometimes be fire. So we're going to discuss all these things on today's show. You can follow me on TikTok at NBA After Dark. Thank you so much for tuning into the program, and let's get this thing started. 126-116 was the final score in the Christmas Day win for Golden State. Big news from that game. Steph Curry became the 22nd player to reach 26,000 points. So 22nd on the all-time list, and he'll keep climbing up pretty significantly as even on a bad day, he goes for 23, does that in his sleep. Curry had 23 on 6 of 18 shooting, 2 of 10. The team didn't shoot it well. To score 126 and shoot it 28% from 3 is not bad. 14 of 50 overall. However, there were some positive signs shooting the 3 ball, specifically one player, because no one shot it well. I guess Moody went 2 of 5. You'll take 40%. But it was Al Horford who went 4 of 6 from three-point range in his return. He had not played. We'll give you the exact game live because he'd missed quite a bit. He had not played since the 4th against Philadelphia. And then before that, hadn't played since November 21st against Portland. So he'd played 2 games in the last month plus. And he's back, and you see what a difference he makes in just 11 minutes. His ability to stretch the floor, keep you honest in the 2-man game with Jimmy Butler and the pick and pop. And Steve Kerr alluded to the fact that he really likes Horford in the lineup at the same time as Butler in that second unit. And Al was awesome. 4 rebounds, 2 assists, couple of steals, no turnovers, played like a savvy veteran. And the injuries have been somewhat strange because you thought at first it was just kind of a load management issue with Al Horford, that he wasn't going to be playing a ton of back-to-backs, and that they were sitting them for some smaller games where they could, insert them into the lineup to play against some bigger teams. And it clearly became an injury some point there, unless they really wanted to get him fresh for a month. But you see his impact when he's back and playing good basketball, a.k.a. good basketball for him is just knocking down shots. Because that's one thing he has not been able to do to start this season. And in his career, he's been awesome. He's a career 38% three-point shooter. He's 33% this year, and he raised that significantly with the great game shooting that he had, 4 of 6 from 3 against Dallas. For Dallas, the return of Klay Thompson always is going to steal the headlines. It's weird, though, seeing Klay back. The body language and the mannerisms in which he talks after the game, doesn't it make it feel like he wasn't a part of the team for, 13 years? That he didn't have 4 championships, that he didn't blow out his ACL and his Achilles and return to the court and have one of the all-time great celebrations and go clap Captain Clay and the whole holy cannoli tour. Like, it just seems so far removed because he's so stoic out there. But he played 26 minutes. He had 7 points. You once again see why those rumors of Klay Thompson being like a trade target someday or a return to the Warriors type addition someday would be more so a swan song and a victory lap. Not even a victory lap, just a nostalgia run than an actual let's win a championship with this guy. He's just, dare I say, barbecue chickened. Let's just say that. Cooper Flagg is not. He is just now heating up on the roster. He had 27 points. He was 13 of 21 and was really the lone bright spot aside from a couple other dudes. Brandon Williams, who actually had 26. He looked really good in the game and was able to knock down some shots from the floor. And then Najee Marshall's an interesting name if you want to talk about a wing for the Warriors. But in terms of like Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington and some names that have been brought up in a potential trade with Dallas or Anthony Davis, really Najee Marshall's the one that sticks out as a potential opportunity that could help you out a little bit. But that's a team that they're going nowhere, 12 and 20. And a lot of the pieces that they have on their team doesn't really fit what the Warriors are trying to do. But you beat them. You'll take it. Jimmy Butler was great. He had 14 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, did have some turnovers, but overall he was just getting to his spots and orchestrating the offense. And the big thing about this win, it comes on the stretch of the Warriors losing games when Steph Curry was putting up 40 plus. And you thought that Curry had to go for 50 in order for this team to win some games. I know it's Dallas. I know it's Orlando minus Franz Wagner beforehand and Phoenix before that. 3 teams that aren't necessarily lighting up the world, although Phoenix is and Orlando is pretty good, but not contenders, I don't think. At least in the state they're in right now, missing dudes. But just a win and win comfortably in these 3 games and not allow these comebacks that it seems like all the teams had late. All 3 of them tried to make against the Warriors late. And to do it without Steph Curry really having great games in any of them. Maybe stretches. Definitely a stretch in the Orlando game. Can't even remember far back enough for Phoenix. Been a long week. But 23, and you get 14 from Butler. You get 12 from Moody. You get 10 from Trace Jackson Davis, who's given the Warriors pretty good minutes all of a sudden. You get 14 from Horford. You get 16 from DeAnthony Melton. You get 13 from Brandon Pajemski, who adds in 8 rebounds and tips some out to keep possessions alive. That was another thing that the Warriors did really well against a huge Dallas team. The Dubs played big, and the Dubs won the rebounding battle, 49-41. To everyone out there that said, Steve Kerr, please play some bigger lineups, there's one for you. Checkmate. That's a game where the Warriors played big, and it's a game where the Warriors were not able to shoot the three-point ball well, and it's a game that they were able to do some work inside, to say the least. They had how many second chance points? 56 points in the paint. Now, Dallas had 72, but that's what Dallas is going to do, especially with Cooper Flagg taking it to the rim nonstop. But 56 points in the paint, if you're the Warriors, you'll take that. 11 turnovers, if you're the Warriors, you'll take that. 33 assists. 44 made buckets, 33 of them assisted. That's the secret sauce we always talked about. By the way, the secret sauce last year, aside from the 30-plus assists Warriors win, it was 18 points for Buddy Hield, Warriors win. That secret sauce may be no bueno. It may be out the door because when Steve Kerr talked about his rotation shrinking and he's found a set group of dudes that are going to shoulder the burden moving forward. Now, Guy Santos and Pat Spencer didn't play in the game, and I don't know if Spinsanity's fully done, and I don't think Guy Santos is out of the lineup for good. But Buddy Hield may be. He got a DNP a game after getting 3 minutes against Orlando where he's thrown in as a victory cigar. It's crazy how quickly he has fallen out of the good graces of Steve Kerr. And I'm sure as a human being, he loves Buddy Hield, as does the entire team, but he was just not getting the job done. And at a certain point, Steve Kerr did the right thing by pulling him. And he hadn't been shooting it that bad in the last 10. Had averaging 9 points over the last 10. had been shooting 37% from three and 43% from the floor. But overall, his 32% from three on the season was just not going to cut it with some of the turnover issues that he had and his lack of playmaking and his just lack of really moving the ball and leading to cohesive offense. The Warriors are going elsewhere right now. And if we know one thing about a Steve Kerr-led offense, or just a Steve Kerr team the past 3 seasons, it's that rotations are never dead but they're never dead, truly. He'll say a guy's out of the rotation and he's back. Now, at this point, it seems Jonathan Kuminga may just be out of the rotation for good. He kind of disappeared. I have no idea what's going on with Kuminga. He doesn't really deserve much of a talking point on the show because he doesn't play. And January 15th is the date we're looking at. And if the Warriors don't trade him, I'd be stunned, truly. Now, as a trade target, does it make sense to call the Brookyln Nets? Apparently, the Warriors are monitoring that situation. We'll tell you about Michael Porter Jr., a massive wing that I don't even know if he's on the block. I don't know why the Nets would trade him. But if they do, will the Warriors come calling? Let's talk about it.
And most importantly, he a dog.
We need more dogs.
What if sports were traded like markets? Now you could put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. This is so cool. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission, merchant, and swap firm. All right, heading to 2026, the NBA season's heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season much more fun because every player has their bag. And with DoorDash, the fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out. Let DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need dessert now. Those late night interviews hit, suddenly you need chips at midnight. DoorDash is built exactly for that. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season, delivered right to your door. DoorDash, in your bag, all season long.
Who can stop Steph Curry?
Hopefully we'll never find out.
All right, we're back. Brookyln Nets. Is that a team the Golden State Warriors are going to call up? Michael Porter Jr. is a name that we've been hearing associated with the Warriors for a minute now. He's having an unbelievable season. Has turned the Nets from what I thought was going to be the most diabolical situation in basketball history. Like, I was thinking 5-6 wins on the season. The roster looked that bad. To actually a formidable foe. They've won 3 of their last 5. He's been balling. I watched him really at length against the Philadelphia 76ers for no reason other than it was one of the early games on League Pass, and I decided that I wanted to see what the Nets were made of. And there are a couple names that I like on that team. Nick Claxton, obviously one of them. Another name is the young Clowney, who they're not going to trade. Igor Damon. They're not trading him anytime soon. But none of the young players are what the Warriors need. They need someone that's ready to play, that's ready to score, that provides size, and that provides just a punch offensively. And that's what he does. He's averaging 25 points on the season, 7 rebounds. He's shooting 50% from the floor and 41% from 3 on the season, 81% from the line. Not a great playmaker, but is averaging 3 assists, playmakes for himself. And he just provides so much of what the Warriors want. Like, he is proving that he can lead a team. He's always been like the 3rd guy, 4th guy. You know, it was Aaron Gordon, it was Jokic, it was Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. would pick his spots and have his games. But he's never had the opportunity really to be the guy aside from his days at Missouri. And we forget that Michael Porter Jr. was on track to being a number one pick at one point early on. You see the intangibles, 6'10", 218 pounds. He's got a sweet stroke. Kind of has a poor man's like Kevin Durant to his game, where he can pull up from anywhere and has a super silky jumper. Has like the rich man's Kevin Knox game with a much quicker release, but that same build, so you saw it a little bit last year for the Warriors. But Porter can get to his spots and make plays happen a lot more than Kevin Knox ever could, as evidenced by 25 points per game. But he's been legit, man. I mean, he had 28 against the Sixers, 24 against the Raptors, 28 against the Miami Heat, had 34 against Dallas a couple weeks back. He has been a legit number one option that you could play 35 minutes. You can give him 20 shots a game, and he's going to knock down 12 of them. He's that type of dude this season. And to not have to be relied on is the number one, but to be the number one off the bench and add him into a lineup with Jimmy Butler, I think it helps your team tremendously and gives the Warriors a lot of what they need. Defensively, is he great? No. Would he benefit from having Draymond Green on the floor and just better defenders around him? Yes. More accountability on a better basketball team? Yes. But is he an NBA champion? Also yes. Has he played a pivotal role on NBA championship teams? Yes. Is he healthy despite being injury-ridden in the past? Yes. He's played in 24 games this season, pretty much 90% of their matchups that they played in. And he's 27. First-round pick in 2018. He was picked 14th. But again, went to Missouri and kind of had a weird season in college to where he didn't get that Ben Simmons treatment despite being the top-ranked recruit on Rivals. Would you take him is the question I ask. Would you give up a lottery pick for Michael Porter Jr.? And the better question, if any Nets fans have hopped into the show, would you trade Michael Porter Jr. to the Warriors for, let's say, Kuminga, Hield, those ancillary pieces, and also draft capital as well? Would you make that deal? Why is the question. The Nets are young. Michael Porter Jr. is leading the way. You have him on an affordable deal, essentially the Cam Johnson contract. That was a deal that was scrutinized in the offseason. People were saying the Nets had no idea what they're doing. What the hell are they thinking? They're basically trading out a better player for a washed Michael Porter Jr., and he's appeared anything but that. He's an all-star, and he's having an incredible season that really flips the trajectory on how you view Michael Porter Jr., despite how you feel about some of his comments off the floor, which can sometimes be considered strange. On the floor, there's nothing strange about his game. He's been active. He has been awesome. And just his mid-range game and his size, his ability to get shots off, I think he'd help the team. He'd be a tremendous help. How much do the Nets value Jonathan Kuminga? Because that was a team we always talked about over the summer, and it was a team that never really budged. They had the cap space to make it happen. Instead, they brought in Michael Porter Jr. instead of throwing out an offer sheet to Jonathan Kuminga and restricted free agency. So do they have any interest there? No. Would you trade Draymond Green? Would they have any interest in that? I don't think that makes much sense from the Nets side of things. So he is a dream target. And I'm sure the Warriors are reaching out because why wouldn't you? But do the Sittery bombs, that's the new Brett Siegel, Sittery bombs, are they true when he says that the Warriors and other reports say that the Warriors have reached out about Michael Porter Jr.? Are they true? That's the big question that I have. And if they have reached out to the Brookyln Nets and people are just deducing that it's Michael Porter Jr., could it actually be Nick Claxton? I don't believe so. I think the Warriors are kind of set with their bigs right now. Steve Kerr saying that Trace Jackson Davis, Al Horford, and Quentin Post is formidable. He likes the way they're playing right now. And he only gave Quentin Post 14 minutes of play, and he went 0 of 4 from 3. Post has not shot it well. On the season, he shot it 32% from 3. This is a career 37% shooter, considering he's only played one other season. He was 40% last year. He's 40% in college. We know his stroke. He, at the very least, is 35 plus. So for him to shoot 32% and still be playable It's because he's tremendously improved his defense. He's tremendously improved his overall feel for the game and his skills around the basket that allows him to go 0 of 4 from 3 and still provide somewhat of a positive impact to your team. DeAnthony Melton, how about the impact that he has provided the Golden State Warriors? Let's talk about him coming up in the big-time shooting slump that he is in. That's straight ahead on the show.
And, buddy, stop trying to dribble the ball.
During basketball season, there's nothing like being in the building. The energy, the crowd, that first big run that gets everyone on their feet. Fans want to be there for those moments, not stuck refreshing screens or guessing what tickets are really going to cost. That's where Game Time comes in. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage back, making it incredibly easy to score amazing tickets, fast, simple, and without the guesswork. Seeing the view from your seat before buying makes choosing tickets easy, and it makes you confident. Prices include fees up front, so the total is clear from the start. Features like zone deals help unlock great seats at even better value. So whether it's an NBA game or another live event, everything's right there in one place. Take the guesswork out of buying all tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today and get in on the action.
Destroy Jimmy and Domino's. I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
DeAnthony Melton. What do we think about his play thus far, chat? On the season, he has not been able to shoot it, to say the least. He is 5 for 29 on the season, I believe is the number. He was 13% at 4 of 29 before he hit a corner three later in the game. I guess did hit a couple of them, went 2 of 7 from 3. But this is someone that shoots 38% for his career. And to shoot 13% and, again, still be playable is huge. And he is just – he plays hard. He collapses defenses. He moves the basketball. He's assertive. Like, he comes in and is just kind of fearless in taking it to the hole. Defends hard, drives. But that's one thing that they need from DeAnthony Melton is to make some shots. 2 of 7 is not going to cut it. And 13% from 3, no bueno. But again, 28 minutes that you give him that you did not have weeks ago and you relied on Buddy Hield. So we see the rotation coming together a little bit more. But I was stunned in the post-game presser how Steve Kerr talked about him having a set group of guys that he's really leaning on. Because Quentin Post played 14 in the game, and I would think that he's going to go to Post more than that. Al Horford went for 11 in the game. I think that he's going to go to Al a little more than that. He just knocked down some threes early, and they didn't really need him. He went to Payton for 15. Is that kind of the goal for Gary Payton moving forward? 24 minutes for DeAnthony Melton, 28 for Brandon Pajemski, 13 for Will Richard. All those things seem about right. But then Santos gets the DNP, Buddy Hield gets the DNP, Pat Spencer, DNP, Jonathan Kuminga, DNP, and Seth Curry, who had that awesome game when he returned, has been nowhere to be found since. So is this the set rotation? I don't think so whatsoever. But I do like the fact that the Warriors went 3-0 to pull themselves back up past the depths of hell. They were really struggling in those games where Curry was hot and the team could not win. They're 16-15 right now behind Phoenix and the Lakers in the Pacific standings. But who cares about the Pacific standings? They're 8 in the West. That's all we need to know. They got a long way to go to reach the top. Transitive Property says that they're closer to the top than we may think, having beat the San Antonio Spurs twice and the Spurs beating the Thunder 3 times in a row, to the point where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander said, you lose to a team 3 straight times and you're no longer the team to beat. That team is just better than you, so we got to improve. We'll see if things change over the next couple weeks to where all the talk is about San Antonio or if this is just a flavor of the month type thing. But the Warriors have proved through those wins with San Antonio and through hanging with Oklahoma City that they can at least compete in a one-off or a 2-game series over a 3-game stretch. But how will they do in 7? Still think they need more help, and that's where that name Michael Porter comes up. And it's where I ask you, the viewer, the listener, is that someone that would make the Golden State Warriors significantly better? Is that someone that you think could actually be attainable? Trey Murphy's another name that's been brought up. The Cavaliers, I was actually talking to my brother-in-law, shout out James Verdi, And he's a huge Cavs guy. And he said, do you guys want Jared Allen? He's a little bit soft. We just don't really need him in Cleveland right now. He actually mentioned the name Draymond. He's like, we need a Draymond Green type of player that can just do the dirty things and get boards. And we'll give you Jared Allen for him. But I don't think that trade necessarily makes the Warriors better. I think the name that we should all be soloing in on right now is how are they going to make a deal with the Nets to get Michael Porter Jr.? I think that's that real. I think this dude is one of those players that I talked about can raise a ceiling, and you can potentially get him on the cheap because other teams are sleeping on him or he hasn't popped yet. And he's popping. No one's watching him pop. But for those of you that have League Pass that have watched the Nets, he is hitting tough shots. He's a tough shot taker and maker, and he's clearly playing with a whole bunch of confidence right now. If he's on the table, that's number one on Santa's wish list. Unfortunately, Christmas is already over, and there's no Michael Porter Jr. We're going to have to wait till the 15th of January, but that's a name that I'm looking at right now. So the big recap of the show, aside from MPJ, is that everyone minus Steph Curry is now playing really good basketball. Curry's just been pedestrian the last 3 games, and his teammates have really picked him up. Pods is playing much better than he had played in the past. Moses Moody is playing significantly better basketball. You see Al Horford return and make his impact. Jimmy Butler's showing his impact all throughout the floor. Draymond Green, here's a take. No more Draymond Green at the 5. The Warriors have the size when Al Horford's healthy to not play Draymond at the 5 anymore, and it's not working. The plus minus has to tell you something. This is now 3 straight games where you take Draymond out and immediately the team starts going on runs. So what do I know? I'm just a doctor. 3-0 homestand despite the turbulence. Like I said, 7 players in double figures for the Christmas win. It was Curry, it was Butler, it was Pods, it was Horford, Moody, Melton, Trace Jackson Davis. So you're 16-15. And here is the great part. Warriors have a really good chance to finish off 2025 on a super, super, super heater. We love super, super, super heaters. Who doesn't love a super, super, super heater? I've been asking for one for years. You can talk about a potentially 6-game winning streak. Toronto, they've come back down to earth. Now, they are a mismatch nightmare. They just have 6, 7 huge dudes on that team that play physical. They get downhill. They don't shoot a ton of threes. They're going to get to the rim, and they're going to test the Warriors in the interior. They're going to get out in transition, too. So we'll see how the Warriors are able to hang against a team that really boasts a unique style in the NBA right now, I think. Then you get the Michael Porter Jr.-led Brookyln Nets and a potential tryout. Again, he's got to be on the table for the Warriors to actually have any interest in him, real interest. But you finish it off with Charlotte. So Toronto, Brooklyn, Charlotte into the new year. That's a legitimate chance for 3 straight wins. And in that 3rd game, you'll get to see Con Knippel, who is like a doppelganger of a young Klay Thompson. And if you haven't seen him play yet, he's the fastest player ever to 100 threes. It took him 29 games. Shockingly, Lauri Markkanen was 2nd fastest ever. It took him 41 games. So you'll get to see Con Knippel, and he's been a whole lot of fun. So that's the 3rd game, and you hope you go into the new year with a 6-game winning streak and a record that would be 19-15. Pretty respectable. All things are possible. This is Locked On Warriors. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Appreciate you joining us. Have a great weekend.